Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Big Idea Podcast. We're really happy to have Erica Bruno-Martin with us today. Probably a lot of you already know about her. She's just a terrific person in our industry, does an amazing job, and we're really thrilled she joined us and is joining us. Erica, without further ado, for the few people out there that don't know who you are, can't imagine who they would be, tell everyone who you are, what you do, and again, thank you so much for joining myself and Mr. Larkin and Mr. Silman.
Hi, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you, Erica.
Thank you so much. My name is Erica Bruno, and I am the Senior Director of Key Accounts at Recall Masters. So it's a really fancy title to basically say that I love to help dealers and dealer groups with their particular concerns, either over recall completion rates, service effectiveness, really dialing in on the multiple untapped opportunities within the service drive. So that's really what I do on a 9 to 5. On a 5 to 9, I joke, I am the treasurer of WOCAN, Women of Color Automotive Network, and I mentor a lot of women through there, and I love it. And yeah, I'm a car girl at heart, so I've been in this industry my entire life, and I love it.
Erica, before we let you go forward, I've never been smart enough to understand how we don't have more women in this field. They influence 80% of the buying decisions. They buy 60% of the cars. And it's too many guys in proportion to women. And by the way, for anyone that's listening, Bruce Springsteen is a liar. He says he's the boss. The boss is Mrs. Springsteen. To not understand the value of women and the place of women and the importance of women makes no damn sense.
Yeah, but I was born in the USA. Go ahead, Erica. Sorry.
No, that's a great point, and again, I feel like I'm kind of unique because, my grandfather was raised by a pretty strong woman who at the time was one of the first female entrepreneurs in his little town in Berkeley that co-owns a liquor store with my great-grandfather. And so, he saw his mom just take the reins and be like, no, and had these relationships in these communities. And my grandfather started as a body shop tech and then grew his body shop to then start selling used cars and then bought the local Chrysler dealer and ended up with about 17 different franchises and employing over 800 people at one point in time. And so he was very much a believer in that, women deserve to be in the dealership, and he
Whoa. It's not deserve. We need them.
Agreed.
The way they think and the way they, I tell when I get groups of people, I tell them up front, guys, I'm sorry, but the women are going to be better at this because they listen better and they build rapport better.
Yeah. And so my mom was the 7th female Toyota dealer principal in the nation, first female Hyundai dealer on the East Coast. So he really encouraged her to, take over and to lead. And she said that she wanted to do it differently. She wanted her business to be repeats and referrals. So I grew up, seeing my mom in the early 90s, late 2000s, really take on, an industry that always didn't want her. And so from that, there was a period where she was like, you shouldn't do this. And I was like, and I understand where you're coming from, Mom, given some of your experiences. But at the same time, I truly do believe that I can make this industry better, not just for women everywhere, but for everyone. And so that's really a driving force behind my mission is how do I make this industry better for all of us?
That's awesome. I've been following what you've been doing, and it's really nice to watch a team of successful women working together and supporting each other, because it was never an easy in. It's always been a good old boys club. And, I look at it, I go back to Y2K at 2000. And the dealerships were trying to get better, but a lot of them haven't stopped the same thing that they've been doing 25, 26 years ago. And you're breaking down those barriers. And that's very cool because we need young women in the tech industry. High school, they're pushing everybody into college. Well, we're really happy to see, thanks to guys like Mike Rowe, is that you don't need to go to college to earn a good living and to be able to take care of your family. And what better place is for the local auto dealer that is truly, that if they're embodied and they're truly there to help the community, that just gives everybody the ability to be the best that they can. And when you encourage that, that creates wonderful employees that create wonderful customers. And as Larry mentioned, with all the statistics, women are the ones that are picking the color. Women are the one that are listening, because guys, you know, we still have that meathead personality, and we're not getting it. Customers, we turn customers off. So that tough guy was, we had to have it, I guess, for a while, but now it's, you need to be cooperative, and you need to be empowering, and you need to be helping the community. And everything that, when I listen to what you're saying, you're there. I mean, you help people.
Thank you.
You're not afraid to help people. You know your stuff. I mean, you know, most fix ops, you know, they're just coming in trying to push a software, or they're trying to push what they got. You want to come in there and look at what they're doing and then give them solutions. So
yeah,
with all of what I just said, where are you helping them the most? Where are the dealers that are embracing what you're offering, capitalizing on it?
Yeah, it's a mixture of not just the marketing that we do, but also the call center capabilities, so taking inbound phone calls, not only from our campaigns, but also from their service drive, and also just training in general, right? Like, what does a good ASM do? What does a good BDC rep do, right? And all of those type of things. Like, I was at a demo last week with a CDGR store, Stellantis store, and I started asking all the questions. I'm like, all right, so how many ROs do you do a month? How many phone calls do you take, you know, on the service drive, or parts even? How many, you know, what's your service retention like? And, you know, are you going after just a 7-year, 8-year, 10-year UIO? Or are you looking at the greater picture of potentially 20 plus years, right? Because the average vehicle on the road is over 13 years at this point, and it's probably going to continue to grow. There was just an article this morning talking about the rate of buying new cars, which was at 5% during the pandemic, has gone down to now almost closer to 4% in over 5 years, which I don't know about you guys, but having been on the OEM side, that's a significant decrease, especially when it comes to lease vehicles, right? Which used to be a huge part of the business. And after the pandemic, and after, you know, some of the production issues that we've had, we haven't seen that velocity in lease vehicles as much as we did prior. Not only that, we don't have the layers of UIO that we used to have within the industry on used vehicles. I mean, we've seen that in used vehicle compression, right? And so it's understanding that this is all cyclical. Like, every single department affects every other department. And the reason I'm asking you those questions, it says two things. One, I want to see how are you performing today, but have you thought about it 4, 5, 6 years in the future, right? And that's the part that I like to bring to my dealers is like, not only do I want to try to solve a problem for you today, I want to talk about how are we going to translate this into a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, because it's not just the people coming through your drive at today or next week's moment. It's how are you going to continue to get those people back, as well as picking up additional people that, again, either never serviced with you or, you know, maybe bought once from you and then kept the car and never came back, right? And so that's the part that I love working with the dealers the most, is to understand their entire customer life cycle.
Erica, let me ask you, go ahead. Gary, finish your thought.
Standard operating procedures. And see, that was the focus in the 60s and 70s, building standard operating procedures so people learn and understand, and then they have their guardrails in case they go off. Mm-hmm. So you're on the money, because I'm trailing right behind you, because I'm talking about the service lane is the new showroom. Mm-hmm. And you've always, so when you've had dealers that you were working with, you were always focused on that. And the OEMs capitalized on the dealers by just putting blinders on the rest of the business and just forcing them to sell their new cars. Mm-hmm. And now that the gold mine is where you've been working. And so the dealers that have had you in those stores have been fortunate to have somebody asking all the right questions. Because the district manager from these places, they're just counting numbers. They're not focused on the community. They're not focused on that. You bring the community forefront, which you learned from your grandfather, which he learned, he knew how to do it. So that's, in today's industry, boy, more women in the service lane will build their credibility, their visibility, and they'll have new customers as long as they have their standard operating procedures and they're trained on it and they're worked on it. So that's great. I'm thrilled. I want to see more of what you're doing.
And it isn't interesting, Erica, that, you know, the more the things change, the more they stay the same. Dealers that have always focused on fixed operations and used cars have always thrived. Yep. Because if you're strictly based on new cars, you're really at the mercy of the factory. What products did they come up with? What products can they deliver? I never, and I've seen it everywhere. You've seen it everywhere. There's much more of a focus on variable than fixed. Mm-hmm. Although fixed is what you need to sustain variable and a bottom line.
It's so funny because when I was a rep, you know, I would get into parts obsolescence. I would get into, you know, what are you stocking and how, and they'd be like, why are you asking me these questions? And I'm like, because I grew up in this, right? Like my grandfather was a tech, was a guy, you know, a fixed ops guy. And he would tell me all the time, like, Erica, service and parts keeps the lights on. Like they're the heart of the dealership. And if you have a heart attack, you know, like then it stops. It really doesn't matter. Anybody could sell a car. He's like, what I loved about sales was the rush of it. What I loved about service was the community of it. And Gary, I loved what you said because, you know, when my grandfather bought the Chrysler store, it was before the OEMs had to approve dealers. And he told me the story a million times. He's like, I loved, you know, I dressed up in my suit with my red tie, very Donald Trump style, if you will. And, you know, I'm meeting my rep for the first time. And he just looks at me and goes, you know, you're really not what we want in a dealer. And my grandfather, again, barely completed 8th grade. And he's thinking, oh, like I didn't go to college, right? Like I'm not a generational dealer, right? He's like, so what else do I need? Like, I got the suit, I've got the building. Like, what else do I need? I'm willing to do whatever if you have training, if you have this. And he just looks at him and he goes, you're really not our type. You're a little too dark for us. And my grandfather was like, I knew exactly what that meant. That was just the color of my skin, right? And so I immediately said in my mind what I always say about everything is I'll show you. And so he instilled that in me. He's like, don't let anyone tell you what you can or cannot do. Always think I'll show you. And honestly, that's been my motto. A majority of my career is like, great, underestimate me. I can't wait to show you what I can do.
Isn't it in a grandfather and a grandchild's relationship? Wow, what a bond! What a bond! That's because that's. They watch their children have children, and that's their whole focus. What a great story about your grandfather. I mean, and right, and instilling that no, don't say no to me. Say, you tell me no, and I'm going to figure out a way to prove it to you that I'm going to do it. And that's great energy. That's great energy to have.
I always teach people, Erica, stop looking at things as roadblocks or obstacles and look at them as challenges. Because we're all wired to say, yeah, you didn't think I could do it, did you? But look what I did. Mike, you started to have a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to shout out Jen Breeze.
Jen Breza.
Jen Breza. See, I knew I'd get it wrong, and thank God you're here for allowing this to happen. So behind the scenes, we'll tell you what it's all about. But I didn't want to ignore our audiences when they post a comment. We have Eddie in Service, who's a great guy from Dallas, Texas. Literally can't stop talking about him.
Well, but the guy's a gem. The guy's a gem.
It's close, Gary. You know, the hand gestures. It was
Okay, yeah, I'm not good at that. I could never do those things.
right, but
Eddie,
but,
yeah, Eddie
right,
has, he usually has
exactly.
another tech with him or somebody talking about the love. And that's
But it is a
beautiful.
great place to have a career, right? And I think that's the part that for women, like Larry had brought up earlier, like why aren't we in the dealerships? Because I don't think it's pivoted as a career, right? I think it's pivoted as a job. And that's something where, I tell people all the time, I'm like, look at the career I've created. Whether it's, I could go to a dealership tomorrow, I could go to a vendor, I could go to an OEM. It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it's all about the business and the people.
Right, and we had Car Talk Weekly saying, great points, Erica, and Car Talk Weekly saying, nice reminder, Gary, who says old guys don't get it?
Thanks, David.
So he ends up with, as marketing director, the secret to my success has always been
It's very
because, yeah, because focused on fixed, and he's right on cue. And finally, my old guy, he's
Hey,
a
Mr.
young
Weed.
guy. Who are you kidding, Chris Weed? He's one of my favorites, and Gary's favorites in the industry.
Can I just say too, I love old guys, right? Like, so I love, I always hate when people are like, oh, you must hate men. I love men, first off. Like, I do. Some of my greatest mentors have been men. Some of my greatest protectors have been men, and like, that's the part that I'm like, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. It matters, do you have the heart for this industry, right? Like, are you willing to put in the work and you have the heart? And that was the one thing my grandfather always told me. He's like, I can teach any process, I can teach anything to someone, but if they don't have the heart to want to do it on their own, I got nothing. And so I always think of that.
There's dealers that you can walk in and they care about everybody. They care about their customers. They care about their employees. They care about the way that their dealership looks and is presented. And that is really good to see because they're empowering everybody. And what they're doing is they're taking mothers and fathers that are giving career choices to their children. Because when you start seeing 2 or 3 generations that have been working for this dealership in this community, you've got a winner. And that's what I am looking for when I go in and I'm out visiting, looking for dealerships. How are they treating their customers? How are they treating their employees? Where do they sit in the community? And I'll tell you, there's some dealers in my market that have embraced it, and they're the pillar of the local community, and they take care of. And that's where we all need to focus to get back to. That we've had it, and we've now been through a transition, and now it's time to get back to the servicing and the things that we were trying to do for all these years. And you just do it naturally every day. And you're mentoring tons of women that just watch you and young ladies that are watching you. I'm raising 3 daughters. And I tell them that, the first thing is you have pride in yourself. You don't need to do anything and have some rotten person dictating what you do, and you put up with it. You have choices. Mm-hmm. And so thank you for all that you're doing, because we need a lot of young ladies working on cars, diesel mechanics, welders, yes, everything. And they work harder. And so I'm glad we had a chance to have you on here and go over what you're doing, because you're somebody to follow. You're somebody to follow now.
Thank you.
When I looked up the dictionary and I found your face, 2 words came to mind: impact and legacy. And that's what you're doing for the industry. So keep on working. I need to think up a 3rd word.
Legacy, I think, is the most important part, though, especially, I lost my grandfather in 2023, and, I lost my grandmother in September of 2025, and then my mom in November of 2025. And I'm constantly thinking now, 7, almost 9 months later for both of them, of like, what would they be proud of? What would they think? And that's why I do what I do. It's like, okay, how much would my mom have loved to have been a part of what I'm doing now with WOCAN? It would have been amazing, right? And so, that's the type of things. And also, I'm a big believer that the old school, oh, I'm going to make it hard on them because it was hard on me. That's such BS. Yeah. There's no need, because at some point too, you have no idea what that person has gone through on a personal level. You have no idea what it took to get them to that place today. And if I can make someone's life a little bit easier because of my knowledge and the trials and the tribulations I've been through, then that is the greatest legacy I could ever leave behind. It's like, you know what? I made their day 1% better, right?
You want to have discipline, but there has to be encouragement. When I got into the business,
accountability.
The Saturday morning meetings, they beat you to death and then said, all right, go out and sell some cars. Go out and sell some cars.
Yeah.
Dog. If we can't make people feel better about themselves, if we can't say, listen, this is what I expect of you, but I know you can do it. This is not complicated. Set standards and expectations for people, but help them get there rather than discourage them from there.
Exactly. I was not the greatest student in school. I was not the smartest in the room. I'm not the most beautiful that will walk in the room. Like, I'm not anything.
You just told 3 old guys you love old guys. We think you
Well, thank you. But, and maybe it's because, my mom was really stunning, like a gorgeous woman. And again, I loved her to death. But like, I would notice people would underestimate either her intelligence, like that she was just a pretty face, or, my sister did pageants and, she would get up there and she would be articulate and they're like, wow, like you're smart too. And it's like, that's the type of dichotomy I think a lot of women live in, is like never enough or too much. And so I'm telling so many people now that I'm like, just be you, right? Like, be bold, be loud, be you, because there's only one of you. And we need you in this world to create whatever it is that you're passionate about or whatever it is that you want to do with your life. And like, don't discount yourself, or don't think, I shouldn't be here, because we all have those thoughts at some point in time. But
Erica, when you're encouraging the women and anybody else you talk to, make them understand that everybody's insecure. The people that you think are in complete command and control aren't. We all are insecure. We're all wondering, am I good enough? Am I smart enough? That I do a good enough job? And a lot of times when people heap abuse on other people, it's because they're a little broken inside, and either they're doing it out of fear or insecurity themselves.
Yep. One of the first people that came into our Toyota management training program literally looked at us and said, let the haters hate, right? And I was thinking about that this morning, where I'm like, you know what? I don't think I've ever had a hater who was doing better than me, right? Like, so
Absolutely.
If they're hating on me, that probably means that I'm doing something right. And you know what? I only hope their ignorance is a blessing, right, at the end of it all. So
it's like Socrates said, God bless those that wish me well, and all the rest can go to hell. Actually, that was my father. I often get him.
It sounds like the book from my grandfather too.
Erica, obviously, the value you bring is tremendous. We thank you for being on our podcast. Obviously, if anybody needs you, they can reach out to you at the email or the phone number. And boy, do we encourage you to reach out to this lady. She's smart. She's on top of things. She's just great. By the way, Eddie in Services, Eddie Campbell, what a fabulous human being. If you don't know him, Erica, reach out to him. He's an unbelievable fixed ops guy. Just an absolute gentleman.
Thank you, guys. I love all these comments. And I am one of 4 girls. I'm actually the direct middle between my older sister and younger twin sisters. So, yeah, I totally understand what it's like to be with a lot of women.
Wait a minute. You're a middle child. This is going to have to be a whole other conversation. We'll have you on for part 2 or part 3 if you're an insider here.
Sounds great.
Anything else, gentlemen? Let's keep it lean, because I want as many people to see this and not be intimidated by the time. Michael, Gary, anything else for this fabulous lady that was kind enough to join us?
I got one more question for you, Erica, and don't answer, you two. What's the most important piece to any puzzle?
The vision.
Okay.
The vision to make it.
She got it.
No, she didn't.
I thought it was the picture on the box.
Yes, it's the picture on the box.
No, but she would have got the okay from Jeopardy. They would have dinged it and said that was close enough.
To close this, Erica loves old guys except Mike Larkin. Erica, thank you so kindly.
Thank
We
you.
definitely want to have you back later on and just keep doing what you're doing for this industry and for women in this industry and for everybody in this industry. We really appreciate you and thank you so much.
One last thought for me is what a great way to start a week.